Hey everybody, it's Kathy Champion and welcome back to my craft room. I had a subscriber to ask me if I would show how to do masking. You can buy masking paper. There's also a masking liquid, but I have never used it, so I really can't comment on how good it is or what. So I'm going to concentrate today with masking paper. Now this right here is just a mat 4 card, and this was the mat 4 an A2 size card. This is what masking paper looks like. It is actually a paper that has a sticky back to it. It peels off like that, but this will allow you to put it down over top of a stamped image and then stamp over top, and this will become much clearer as I move on in the video. But in order to do some masking in your stamping, you need a few things. You need, of course, a stamp set. So I chose this apple of my eye. I'm going to keep this very simple today because what I want to do is I want it to be simple so you can understand it. And if you can be successful with a simple one, then you can gradually do things that are more elaborate. So I thought it would be unfair to bring you something that is totally elaborate that you would be totally lost on. So we're going to start out with this very simple masking technique. So I have loaded up the little apple basket, and also the little sign and the grass. This is the little grass that's going to be down at the bottom. So what I'm going to do first is I want to stamp my basket of apples because the other things are going to live behind the apple basket. So I'm going to stamp this down first, and I am going to stamp it in Memento, and the reason for that is I'm going to want to color this, and I want to color it with my alcohol markers. So I'm going to go with the Memento ink for that reason. So let's just go ahead and ink up our stamp. And you have to kind of decide, you can lay your stamps out on your page and kind of get an idea, but you want to stamp first the image that needs to live to the front of your design page. So I'm going to stamp this about here, pressing it down to get a good stamp. And that looks really good. Now I'm going to take a piece of this masking paper and I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to do the same thing. But now my masking paper, because I do like to save as much of the masking paper as I can, I am going to stamp in this lower bottom corner, just like that. Pressing it down to get a good image, and that's good. Alright, so for right now we're going to close the ink because we're going to need to do some fussy cutting. Yes, there is fussy cutting involved because this piece on the masking stamp will need to be fussy cut because we are going to mask off that basket of apples so we can stamp other things around the basket. So like I said, the piece that needs to be to the top or the front of your image, that is the piece that you need to stamp first and mask. So I stamped it twice, once on the paper, once on my masking paper, and now I'm going to come in with my cutter bee scissors and I am just going to cut this little piece out like so. And now I'm just going to pick this up and I'm going to fussy cut. Now this is a really simple little thing to fussy cut. It's very easy. It's got pretty much straight lines. I mean, your apples, you do have to curve around the apples just a bit, but it's not a hard cut. Even with the little stems that are sticking out, it's still a fairly easy cut to make. So I hope that you will be willing to try this because this will make your stamps go a lot further because you can build scenery with your stamps. You could do some evergreen trees in the background and have a snowman scene in the front with a little house. There's just so many things that you could do. Just always remember that your image that's going to live to the front is what you're going to need to stamp first and mask. And like I said, we will go further into masking, but I thought for our first lesson on this, I was going to keep it as simple as I possibly could. So we just about got this cut out. And we want to make sure we cut along this bottom edge too. Just like so. Now I'm going to show you this masking paper, and I probably cut in a place that did not have a place to get it off. So I'm just going to roll the edge of it a little bit right here and see if I can get that, and then there it goes. Now you can save these, so save your backer, because you can stick this back down and save this when you want to use the stamp again. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just take this little sticker and we're going to stick it right over top, making sure that we match this image up so we don't see anything except just that same image. Now we're ready to do some of our background stamping. The first thing I'm going to do is I want to put down some grass, because this little basket of apples looks so cute and I think it would be sitting in some grass. So I pulled out 2 of my VersaFine Clair inks, and I am going to alternate back and forth between these 2 greens. I picked a Shady Lane and I picked a Green Oasis. So I'm going to leave those lids there so you can see the colors that I'm using. And I'm going to start out with this more olive green, and that is the Shady Lane. And I'm just going to come over and stamp. Now I'm not going to clean my stamp, but I'm going to alternate with the Green Oasis. But I did make a mess there. Let me get my wipe. I did have one. Must have thrown it in the trash, because I made a mess out of this ink stamp, and I do not want that much ink on the edge of that stamp. See what I did? So I'm just going to clean this off just a little bit. And then we're going to stamp that down. And I'm overlapping just a tiny bit. And I'm not even cleaning the stamp off in between these, because it is green on green. And I'm going to come up here, because we're going to have some higher grass sitting up around that basket. And what I'm doing here is I'm just stamping it kind of willy-nilly all over the place, because I want the grass to look like it's grown up a little bit and the basket is kind of nestled there in the grass. So that's why I'm making my grass a little taller. And you just want to kind of weave this back and forth, you know, just ever so often, dropping some grass in and filling it. So there, we got a nice little border of grass, and we're done with this. So make sure I didn't get ink on my fingers, because I'm notorious for getting ink on my fingers and then getting ink where I don't want it. So let's press this down, sit those over to the side, and now I want to pull in this little signpost. And I want my signpost to be sticking out, like it's kind of crooked and hanging out from the behind the apple, but it's a little off kilter. So let's this is my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I am inking up again. Now remember, this is mask, so it's not gonna. With Memento ink, I never feel like that my stamp gets inked as good as it should. Now I want this to look like it's coming out about there. And you'll see where I'm doing this. I'm putting this at an angle right into that apple basket. Just like so. I'm pressing it down. And then lift it. And see, if we had stamped this, you can see what would have happened if we had just stamped this over the image. You would see that sign into your basket of apples, and that's not what we wanted. So by masking, we can pull this up now, And this is the magic. We're going to pull that up and voila, that basket of apples is in the background. It's sitting in the grass and the sign is behind it. Now even if we had stamped the sign first and the apples over it, we still would have had that line coming in from that thing of apples. So this was a very simple technique of masking, and like I said, I wanted to keep it very simple, but whatever you're doing, just remember the rule of thumb is to always make sure that your image that's going to be to the very front, whatever's going to be up in the front of your image, this is what you need to stamp first, mask, and cover. So those are the techniques that works the best for me. Now I am going to put a little sentiment and I'm going to use my VersaFine. No, I'm not, because I want to color that first. So I will do my stamp a little bit later. But I'm going to go ahead and color this on camera, and I'll just speed it up so that you don't have to endure the entire process of me coloring, because I know that can become very boring. So I'm going to grab some reds and some pretty colors that I think some apples would be. So I'm going to grab these reds, and this is 451, 375, and 381. These are Nuvo alcohol markers. So let me get my little protector page. And I had it right here. Let's see, what did I do with it? There we go. And I'm going to lay this on it before. The reason for that, these markers, as I've told you so many times before, they bleed through. So I'm going to start with the lighter, and this is almost a pinky, and I'm going to use the fine tip, and I am just going to go in and lay some color down on these apples, right in the middle. And that's all I'm going to do at first. And I'm going to zoom you in a little bit more so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I need to move this out because now that I have moved up as far as I have, I need to get a little closer. Make sure that you can see what I'm doing. So now I'm going to take the next shade that is just one shade darker, and I'm going to go around, and I'm just going to put a little color down on the sides, maybe around the top. I love, love, love coloring with these Nuvo markers. They are so smooth. I think the colors are stunning, and I've used those too. So this is my darker red. So we're going to come in now, and I'm just going to outline. And then I'm going to go back with my lightest color, and I'm just going to blend that out like that. And that looks like an apple that has the light shining on it. And that's the effect that we want in coloring our apples. So I'm going to put a little color there and a little bit there. I'm just going to go in and do the same thing I did before. I'm just going to drop some color here and there. And then I'm going to go back with that lighter pen. A lot of people think you do your blending using the blender pen that comes, the clear one. But that's not the case. You blend with your colors. And as you can see, by going back, and now I'm going to go back with that second darkest color, and I just want to touch in here a little bit around the edges of some of these apples that really didn't get quite as much color as they should have. And then again, I'm going back with that light color. The lightest color will definitely always be your blending pen. And can y'all see why I love the alcohol markers? They just blend so pretty. Now we need a brown. So I'm just going to get like maybe 2 shades of brown. I am going to use this 461 and 465. And I am going to go in with this color. And I'm going to leave a little bit of white here and there because I'm going to come in with that darker one. And I want this basket to look a little worn. You know, if you go to an apple orchard to pick apples, things are not perfect. Baskets are banged up and discolored, and they're used over and over. They're out in the weather. So I want this basket to look a little bit like it would look if it was at a real orchard. Okay, so there is our basket painted. So I want to go in with a lighter color for that, the actual stick on the sign. And I think I'm going to go in with something that's a little more beigey. I think the sign itself, I want it to be this color and maybe this color. So let me put these back up. Okay, now I'm going to do the sign with this 475, and I think I'm going to do the stick with this 466, 475, and yeah, I think this is what I want to do. So I'm just going to come down and put some color down on the sides of this. Like that. And then I'm going to come in with this lighter color, like so. And then I'm going to go back over it with the darker, because I just want this post to look a little weathered, and I think it does. So let's go back now and let's blend it out with this. And then this sign, I'm just going to put some color like this in it. Now I am going to use this darker, and I'm just going to go around the outside of this just to outline it a little bit. like that. Now I think that turned out really cute, and I was gonna stamp this with my VersaFine, but since I used alcohol markers in there, I am not going to do that. I'm going to actually bring my Memento ink. Let me zoom you back out just a little bit. Oops, wrong way. About like that. I'm going to use the Memento ink, and I am going to stamp this little sentiment. Now this has not been used before, so I needed to condition it a little bit. And it says, "How do you like them apples?" I thought that was just super cute to go right in there like so. I'm just going to let it sit there for a minute, letting that ink transfer in. And there we go. So that is our lesson on how to do mask stamping. We mask off the little apple basket. I think that turned out really super cute. And we have a little greenery down here at the bottom, and we have our signpost that's coming out. We did a little alcohol marker blending, so you got a little bit of everything today as far as stamping goes. So I hope this helped you in learning how to mask stamp. Start out with something very simple so you do not feel overwhelmed, and try it. If you have this stamp set, this is one of Maymay's stamp set, and it's called Apple of My Eye, and you can see the products that I used was some Nuvo markers and some VersaFine Clair ink and some Memento ink and the Brutus Monroe masking paper. So this has a very low tack adhesive on it, and it works wonderful for this type of project. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you have learned something new today, and that you're ready to grab your stamps and your masking paper and your inks and try this for yourself. God bless you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as I always tell you, be a blessing to someone today. You never know how much they will need a kind word from you. So just always show kindness to other people. We never know what other people are going through, and when we show our love to others, we are showing the love of Christ to this world. So let everything that you do and say bring glory to Him, and we're going to close for now, and God bless you all. Bye-bye.